Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Sorry I'm a bit late. I've been waiting for this video to download that we're going to watch. So, what we're going to look at in this video is we're going to look at the recent, there's been a BBC sort of documentary, spotlight documentary about the murder of John George. It's a short video. It's about 30 minutes. I'm going to be showing you a sort of copy of a copy, if you like, because of course it's BBC One. Hoping that they won't pull me up for copyright, but they probably will. I don't know. But I thought we'd have a look at it together and see what you think of it. And then I'm going to upload it just as it is, with no commentary, for people who just prefer to watch it without me talking all the way through it. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. And it's important now, I think, that the BBC have actually named who they say is the suspect in this case, though as far as I know, the Guardian haven't actually, officially named the suspect. But I think the BBC have gone ahead and named them, so, we can presume that the BBC wouldn't do that unless they were pretty certain that it was them. So first of all, I just want to say thank you. I hope you've all had a good day or a good evening or a good afternoon. And I hope you're all well. I hope you're all feeling positive and charged for March. I can't believe we're in March. Oh my God, where did January and February go? Anyway, we are. So it's springtime coming soon. We're still having lots of rain here in Spain, but anyway, can't go on forever, hopefully. Okay, so, the other thing, of course, I want to say is thank you for being subscribers, or if you are a subscriber. If you're not, why not? It's free. So please think about subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Thank you to all of you who've left your DNA on my like button. Thank you to those of you who are members. And tomorrow night in the members live, which of course is Thursday nights, we have this special members video. I'll be revealing who my special guest is on Friday. So on Friday, I'm going to do a live on Friday evening. I have a very, very special guest. And we're going to be talking probably about a lot of things, but certainly about something that's very close to their heart, very close to all our hearts, and something that may save your life one day or one of your loved ones. And tomorrow night in the members video, I'll be letting my members know, first of all, who this person is. On Friday, it will be a public live, and I will... you'll find when you get the notification, that's when you'll find out who the guest is. It's going to be I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a very interesting chat that we're going to have, because we both like chatting, but also it's a very important subject that we're going to be talking about. So that's tomorrow's Members Live, and then that's what's happening on Friday. Okay, so also I want to thank people who PayPal me, buy me coffees, or send super chats. It's also very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to say hello to who's in the chat at the moment. But as usual, I want to say hello to Replay Crew, to you lurkers, anyone you find yourself watching this video. Hi. Hope you're well. Okay, so let's see who's in the chat. There's a couple of people in the chat. I think I've probably caught everyone off guard as usual. Yeah, sometimes I need to sort out. Oh, now the other good news is, I think number one son. I have to take him to work and things like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, his job that he's been doing, he's going to get some settled hours, and I'll know better about what hours actually I've got free to do videos. Because that's why sometimes I have to be a bit ad hoc with videos, is because I'm not sure exactly, what time I'll be having to take him or pick him up, etc. But it's all going to settle down over the next week or so, and that will be great, because then I will know exactly where I am with videos. And the spare time that I have to make videos or to do lives. Okay, let's say hello to whoever's in chat. Hi Yvonne. Hi Laurie. I think it's just us at the moment, but oh no, there's more people watching, so hello to the people. Come in chat and say hello. Anyway, we're going to let's get on with this video. So this was a BBC Spotlight documentary. So it's about 30 minutes long, and as I say, in this video we're going to look at it, and I'm probably going to comment on it, but I am going to upload it in its entirety. But as I say as well, it is sort of a copy, I've had to copy it from someone who probably copied it from the BBC. So let's have a look at it.
Spain's Costa Blanca. Sand, sea, sun, a little slice of paradise. But the brighter the sunlight, the deeper the shadow.
The Belfast man's been missing in Spain for 6 days.
He was seen here, he was seen there.
Now, sorry, I just want to say before we get into it, just in case there's anybody out there who doesn't know, there are new people subscribing all the time, new viewers. If you don't know about this case, this is John George, 37 years old, father of two young children, 2 boys, and he came out to Spain. When was it that he actually? December last year, and then disappeared. 1 minute he was phoning his family as normal, and the next minute he went sort of radio silent, no news of him. And he was, unfortunately, eventually, after frantic searches by his family, who unfortunately were looking in the wrong place because they'd been told deliberately the wrong place by somebody, he was finally found, and he has returned home to Northern Ireland with his family, and his family have been able to lay him to rest. So what's with the position we're at now is finding justice for John. Who did it? It's thought to be known who did it, but there's a couple of suspects, really, if you like. But what the family want now is they want whoever did it to be held to account, and justice for John.
He's partying here, all this. John wasn't partying nowhere.
I'm sure the Guardia Civil would love to know exactly what happened in that house.
Who killed John George?
Where do you start here? It's hard when there's a drug problem involved.
Now, do you remember we sort of all, Billy, this is Billy George, this is John's dad. And of course, he was sort of there searching day in, day out for quite a long time. All over Christmas, that's how he spent his Christmas Day, New Year. That's how all the family spent it, was searching for John. So, and searching for John's body. They knew John was dead, So it wasn't, they knew they weren't going to see that lovely smile again. I mean, he has got a hell of a smile, hasn't he? And yeah, we watched Billy's videos. Billy was releasing videos on Facebook, etc. He was heartbroken. He was begging people to tell him where his son was. And it fell on deaf ears, didn't it? Fell on deaf ears. Turned out, where they were searching, where they'd been told to search, was total wild goose chase. And John was actually quite a distance away from where they were searching. Hi, Miss Victoria.
There.
I'm staying.
Because you're always waiting on that phone call.
I'm staying till I get him.
I always thought if anything's going to happen to John, it's going to happen here, like an overdose or something like that. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I'd be running the fields of Spain at Christmas time.
Please, tell me where my son is. Please, anonymous, anything. Please just let me get my son home. I just want to get John home. It's just killing our family.
All those pleas fell on deaf ears, didn't he? He was crying on camera. I mean, I think that's just, and then of course you get people that are victim blaming. John wasn't a saint. The family said that right from the beginning. Billy's going to tell us a bit more about John's, life up to being 37. I think, you could tell they absolutely adore John. You can see that John's like the life and soul of that family. And Billy even says that. But at the same time, he was a bit the black sheep of the family because he'd taken the wrong path in life. And he was always a worry to them. That's what Billy was just saying there. But he thought, I'm sure he was aware that the path that Billy had taken was a dangerous path. But he never thought in a million years that when he got that phone call or if he ever heard that anything had happened to Billy, he thought it would have happened in Northern Ireland, where he was from, not in Spain, in a foreign country.
Only God can judge people. But at the end of the day, John went down the wrong road.
Since John vanished in December, memories are all he has of his son.
John was a typical young lad growing up in West Belfast. John was a great boxer. Boxed for the Saints Boxing Club. Won Antrams, Ulsters, won all the boxing. The only one he couldn't win was the All-Irons. 16, started drifting. Got involved with a bit of an older crowd. Done something one night, went to prison. John went to prison, committed prison. Wasn't the same boy went into prison. No interest. John ended up becoming addicted to tablets. As years went on, John got further into crime, further into tablets. We had never any fallout with John, I know there is families where when the young lads go off the rails and they're through the house and all things. There was nothing like that. He came into the house and his usual crack, starting messing about, torturing his sisters and brothers, Getting into his grannies loved him and all, things like that. John's the life of the house. Here he comes, here's the melter.
You should be an X Factor next year, John.
If you're in a party, walked into a bar, here he comes.
Gonna be all right.
Big joker, Love the mixing. But John was being John.
You can just tell by the way Billy talks about him. He probably drove him mad in one way, but he just, he's just like, he's his eyes, isn't he? He's like the light of it, the light of his life. You can see that. So he's sort of all his faults and all his warts and all. He loved John so much. And that's why, I think it just comes over so much that John, he can't have been that horrible a person because there's so many people seem to love him so much. Not only, I know your family, perhaps they, love you. Anyway, they don't always, of course, we know that families don't. But yeah, he seemed to have this sort of, I don't know, there's something about John. I think it's his smile. I don't know what it is. You just feel like he's like his dad, Billy said, he was a melter, but he was my melter.
After the death of a relative, John had gone on holiday to clear his head. On December 14th, John spoke to his parents by phone.
It's lovely out here. Look at the weather. Everything's dead on. Every day he's ringing me. It's great out here. I'm sitting here with a couple of other people. Who you sitting with? Guy, I know. I mean, all right. All these guys, John, my friend. That's what I know him. He's a friend of mine. He says, I'm bringing this header home, Mama. He says, who? French Foreign Legionnaire.
So he was phoning his dad, but he used to phone his dad. Billy said, I think he might mention it in this documentary, but he said it before. He would be on the phone to him so many times a day, it would get on his nerves in the end. But of course, you know that when you lose someone, it is all those things that got on your nerves that you almost miss the most. Obviously, he'd love to have a phone call from him now, 10 phone calls. So he would phone. That's why it was so suspicious when he didn't hear from him at all, because that was unusual for John. If he was the type of person who went days without ringing his dad, but he was the total opposite. He would ring his mum and dad, many times a day. And he was, when he was asking more, what's it like in Spain and that, he was saying, oh, it's great. And he's met, everyone was his friend. I think I've known people like John. I think we all probably have. Everyone, oh, he's my friend. He's, they're expansive, aren't they? They sort of almost naive in a way. It's a funny sort of like, oh yeah, he's my mate and that. And not realizing how dangerous people are, or that they're not friends. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people you sort of meet and they, oh yeah, they're my mate and that. And you think, I don't know if they are your mate really, because some people are naive like that. That's how I think John was. So he told his dad as well that he'd met this guy, it was his mate, and he'd been in the Foreign Legion, in the French Foreign Legion. And that, of course, is Michael Malley. Yeah, Yvonne, that's what, John, he was there, he was a promising boxer and everything, and then got, did something, when he was 16, ended up in prison. And, sometimes when people that age go to prison, it's not a good thing, because they end up coming out. They meet other criminals, don't they, when they're in prison? And then, of course, John came out a drug addict as well. He'd been taken. His mum said he couldn't sleep while he was in prison. He was having panic attacks and all that. So they prescribed tablets for him. And by the time he came out of prison, he was addicted to those tablets. And that was that was the slippery slope for John.
He says, don't be bringing any French Foreign Legion near my door. That's me. John, I think you better just head on home. You've had your breakout, your blowout. Just come on home. He says, Dad, will you chill? Just chill. He says, where's my ma? I says, here she's here. And then he goes, right, ma, I love you. I'll see you soon.
Oh.
That phone call was the last time John's family ever spoke to him.
Yeah, so he spoke to his dad. His dad was telling him to come home, and anyway, then he asked to speak to his mum, and he told his mum he loved her, and that's at least, she's got that, I suppose, that she said that. I think he is a similar personality to Jay, and of course, Jay had his incident when he was young, where he got involved in that sort of, horrible incident with that involved weapons and everything. But Jay, see how differently it worked for Jay, because Jay did not get sent to prison, and he got a suspended sentence, I think, did he? And he did turn his life around, Jay. Jay Slater we're talking about. He did turn his life around. That's why it's so tragic what happened to him, especially tragic, because by the time he went on that holiday to Tenerife, he had turned his life around. He had a job, you know, an apprenticeship. He was, you know, he'd not sort of done anything else wrong, you know, by the time he was 19. He'd gone the right way because he didn't go to prison. So he wasn't exposed to even worse people in prison at an impressionable age. I think that's what can happen when you go to prison too young. Or that young. But of course, you know, it depends what you've done. I mean, if you've done something really bad, you have to go to prison. So, you know, maybe they're not rehabilitating people properly. I don't know. The thing is, you know, of course, the answer is just don't do anything in the first place. But, you know, teenagers, it'll never change. Young teenagers like that, they'll always do things, and some teenagers will be unlucky enough to go to prison and maybe turn out worse, and others will, like Jay Slater, will get a second chance and will make a go of it, and, you know, make a go of their lives. And then unfortunately for Jay, of course, it got cut short by what happened to him in Tenerife.
What came next left the George family broken and still searching desperately for answers about what happened to John.
Paper Español covering crimes and local news, and I've been following the John George case since the beginning.
Together, we're trying to piece together John's final days in Alicante.
So all of this area, is this still Orihuela?
Yes, Orihuela Costa is called a very touristic area.
So this is where John...
Yeah, Orihuela Costa is a very tourist area, very, very, you know, and most people that live in the Orihuela Costa are not Spanish. Very, very few Spanish people live there. You would go there and, you know, like sometimes sort of, you know, British people complain, or I'm sure other people complain about areas that are mainly foreign nationalities. Orihuela Costa is that in Spain. You know, you wouldn't even know you're in Spain except the sun shining and there's palm trees. But the people you'll meet will be all different nationalities, very few Spanish in the Orihuela Costa. And these are the places where John was.
George would have stayed, was in one of these houses.
Yes. Yes, that's the house.
So it's this house here?
Yes, that's...
Wow. It's big?
Yeah. Big and expensive.
This is the house where John came to stay in early December.
John George stayed here too. And yes, this is the center of the action.
It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's an expensive looking house.
They choose this area because there are a lot of Irish people and a lot of British people.
It's the home of another man from Belfast, Johnny Smith. Pictured here, partying with John George in Spain.
Gangster lipstick, tattooed man. You had it all.
He'd invited John to Spain to attend a party he was throwing for his new business, a cannabis shop.
One night for a week. I'm up in the grass shop, big opening night, fireworks, the whole shebang, you know?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, cannabis cafes or they're legal in Spain. You know, there's lots of them around. You know, they're interesting places. So yeah, you can go in there, buy cannabis. You're supposed to smoke it there. You're not supposed to take it away from the premises. You can normally buy things that it's really strange law in Spain, because I think you're allowed to grow cannabis in Spain, but there's a limit. Maybe you're allowed 3 plants or something like that. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. You know, you're not, it's not legal to, you know, grow a cannabis farm. That's not legal, but you're allowed to grow it for your personal use. And sometimes in these cannabis shops, that's what you can buy there, all the paraphernalia that you need to grow cannabis and probably buy cannabis. And, you're supposed to, as I say, I believe, sit and take it there. You're not supposed to take it. You know, they're not places where cannabis is supposed to be dealt in the sense of, you know, you can just go in there, take it and take it home. You're supposed to smoke it there, but of course a lot of people don't. But they are legal. You know, these cannabis cafes, they might get raided every now and again by the police. The police just go in, just make sure everything's okay. But yeah, so apparently this is what Johnny Smith was opening, a cannabis shop, and that's why John George had gone over there to help him celebrate that.
As if he's Pablo Escobar. He's the boy.
1 month ago, John George was another neighbor, but now they didn't have a normal Christmas in that house.
No. John's sons, 2 little boys. That's just awful. Like, their whole Christmas will have been, where's Dad? I mean, maybe they already do, but I'm sure the Guardia Civil would love to know exactly what happened in that house.
For now, this is what we know. John left this house on December the 14th. Then he disappeared. We need to know what happened next.
Well, let's go and knock on some doors and see if we can find anything from the neighbours here. Sorry to bother you. Did you see any of the people who were in the house?
A picture starts to emerge. The new arrivals from Belfast didn't go unnoticed.
She remembered there being young men coming and going from Belfast, and she even actually identified John George as walking up and down the street along with some of the others.
When Johnny arrived, I think he changed the energy in the neighborhood.
Yeah. We've been speaking to people in the neighborhood to try and get a clearer picture of what exactly went on in this house in the weeks and months before John George's disappearance. And it's one of fairly low-level crime, but antisocial behaviour for the area. There was apparent drug dealing, there was a constant smell of marijuana. The police had been called because of parties that got out of hand. What's strange is that around December 14th or 15th of this year, there was another party, fireworks, everything. But neighbours say that after that party, something seemed to change.
Yeah, so there were fiestas. I don't know if it was a party, it was fiestas, wasn't it? It was local fiestas. But anyway, God, I've forgotten what I was going to say then. I wanted to say something and it's gone. Oh, yeah. Now you can see how close those houses are to each other. And you know that smell of marijuana, can you imagine what it must have been like? Because marijuana is so pungent, isn't it? Especially this skunk stuff that everybody smokes now. The smell, it knocks me sick. It's disgusting. It's so sweet. And anyway, so yeah, all those neighbours, they will have smelt that. They would have heard all the comings and goings. There was motorbikes. There was cars. There was, you know, they were up into the night sort of partying. And most of the other people that lived in those blocks would not have been party animals. You know, that most of them were probably retired, you know, from all sort of parts of Europe. There'd be maybe British people. I think there'd be less British people in those places, more sort of like Dutch maybe, or Belgian, or, you know, just that's the sort of area that they tend to buy holiday homes, or they live here half the year and then go back to their own countries for the other half of the year, because they can still do that, you know, because if you know, British people can't do that anymore. That's what they used to do, spend the winters in Spain if they had a holiday home here, then go back to Britain for the summer when it gets too hot. But you can't do that. British people, thanks to Brexit, you're only allowed to spend a maximum of 180 days here unless you're a resident. That's not the case for other European people. You know, people part of the European Union, they can come and go as they please. So, yeah, they will really have stuck out in that neighbourhood for their partying, for the smell of the drugs, and just God knows what was going on there. So apparently there had been calls to the police, etc. So...
There were no more strange comings and goings at odd hours. There were no more big parties, no more noise complaints. In fact, about a week later, the couple that had rented this house for most of the previous year quietly packed up in the night and moved on.
The new cannabis shop in Benidorm, a luxury villa, suspicious comings and goings. It's not hard to see the potential link to a darker side of life on the Costa Blanca. This investigation takes us into a world that most tourists don't see. Charge of all serious crime investigations in the Alicante region. It keeps him busy.
De delitos contra las personas.
Well, I'm very impressed that they got to interview the Guardia Civil because, you know, the Guardia normally they just won't say anything. So he's the colonel of the Guardia Civil, the whole of Alicante, I think, whole of Alicante region. So they've done well to get an interview with him.
Lesiones, homicidios, trata de seres humanos, a robos, robos con fuerza, robos con violencia.
Now, of course, he's speaking in Spanish. You can't see the writing, the English subtitles very well, but basically he's just talking about the sort of things at the moment that they have to deal with.
Tráfico de drogas. No es un problema, realmente creo que lo tenemos controlado y...
He has seen firsthand.
So he just said then it's not that much of a problem. We have it under control. There you go. That's from the colonel of the Guardia.
And the brutality that accompanies crime in the region.
Cuando estamos hablando del negocio, el negocio es el negocio. Y esta gente es igual de violenta si el tráfico es de marihuana que si el tráfico de drogas es de cocaína o de heroína. Sí, ha habido casos de avisos que hemos llegado porque ha habido disparos y había una plantación de marihuana y no había nadie. Había desaparecido todo el mundo, había algún charco de sangre.
For Colonel Dardere and his team, multinational crime gangs and criminals from overseas are a particular headache.
Let me just listen to that again.
In the Alicante region, it keeps him busy.
De delitos contra las personas, lesiones, homicidios, trata de seres humanos, a robos, robos con fuerza, robos con violencia o tráfico de drogas. No es un problema, realmente creo que lo tenemos controlado y...
He has seen firsthand the brutality that accompanies crime in the region.
Cuando estamos hablando del negocio, el negocio es el negocio. Y esta gente es igual de violenta si el tráfico es de marihuana que si el tráfico de drogas es de cocaína o de heroína. Sí, ha habido casos de...
Hey! Sorry, I'm trying to hear what this guy said. Now the dog's because I think he was saying something like this is a business, you know, and they just treat everything. Can't hear him that well.
De avisos que hemos llegado porque ha habido disparos y había una plantación de marihuana y no había nadie. Había desaparecido todo el mundo, había algún charco de sangre.
For Colonel Dardere and his team, multinational crime gangs and criminals from overseas.
I'm sure he just said then that they'd been told by the neighbours about. I don't know if he's talking about that particular property. Told by the neighbours about the smell of marijuana and things, and then when they've gone there, everybody had disappeared, but there was blood. I'm sure that's what he's just said, but it's difficult to make out.
Realmente creo que lo tenemos controlado y...
He has seen firsthand the brutality that accompanies crime in the region.
Cuando estamos hablando del negocio, el negocio es el negocio. Y esta gente es igual de violenta si el tráfico es de marihuana que si el tráfico de drogas es de cocaína o de heroína. Sí, ha habido casos de avisos que hemos llegado porque ha habido disparos y había una plantación de marihuana y no había nadie.
All right, no, he's not talking about that particular thing. He's saying they've had cases where somebody has, rang up and said there's something about this property or they've heard shots or whatever, and they've gone to the place. He's not talking about that particular place, he's talking about places in general. And there's been a marijuana plantation there, blood on the floor, but nobody's there. So basically what he's saying is that, you know, other people have been murdered and been taken off and never been found.
había desaparecido todo el mundo, había algún charco de sangre.
For Colonel Dardare and his team, multinational crime gangs and criminals from overseas are a particular headache.
Además, en esta zona, como hemos hablado, el nivel de delincuencia extranjera es muy alto, al igual que la población.
Do you know, that's it. It must drive him mad because a lot of the criminals in the drug gangs are foreign. You know, they might be British, Irish, Russian. What was that other guy? Was he Czech? You know, all different nationalities because Europe, the whole of Europe sort of passes through Spain, I suppose. And of course, there's a lot of tourist places in Spain. Wherever there's tourists, there's going to be drugs because the tourists want, you know, a lot of young tourists. That's what they want. So, you know, people supply a demand, don't they? So, you know, they do have, at the end of the day, in these tourist places, of which there's a lot in the Alicante region, you know, with Benidorm and all the different places, there are going to be lots of problems that, you know, probably they get a bit fed up with because most of them are foreigners that are doing it. Not all of them, of course.
I went through Spain like a Tasmanian devil, and I really did. I was decked.
Now, this guy is very interesting to listen to. So this guy, he was like a drug runner, or he was a person who was working with the drug gangs. And yeah, he's got a very interesting story to tell.
Collecting, drug dealing, beating, shooting, carrying guns. There was nothing I'd never done over there.
Marvin Herbert has spent years in prison for serious crimes. After his release from a UK prison, Marvin saw opportunities in Spain, already awash with British and Irish gangsters.
I'm going to go to Spain and I want to get involved in work because if he can do it and he can do it and he can do it, I can do it because I think he's a mug and he's a mug. He ain't got no arsehole. I'm stronger, I'm harder, I'm more ferocious than all of them, and I'll eat them if I need to. And
God, he is quite scary looking, isn't he? And have you seen his eye? Because he got shot in the eye.
Ended with me being shot 5 times, once in the leg, once through the arm, through the pelvis, once through the genitals and exiting my right testicle, and once
God.
in the forehead and then once in the eye.
I mean, for God's sake, I mean, how's you look? So you get shot 5 times and he's still here to tell the tale, you know, with the scars to prove it. I mean, you know, and I just want to say this guy has, you know, he's clean now and he's changed his life. So good, all kudos to him. Good luck to him. Well done.
That was the boom. That was the slap in the face that I needed to see what I'd become. And it's just karma. You get back what you put out. That's why Marv's nice, kind, humble, selfless, and harmonious. There you go.
Now reformed, Marvin is helping us make sense of the world of expat crime on the Costa Blanca.
Okay, there at number 10. You know, he's been... The thing is, there's nobody who can help more, I suppose, with dealing with these kind of things. He's you know, people who've been through it and done it, been there, got the T-shirt, got the scars to prove it. He's definitely got the scars to prove it. You know, people can change their life around, can't they? You know, it is everybody. As long as you're breathing, you've still got a chance.
People that are not at the top level are people that are getting used, and that's it. So you're either wrapping and packing, you're either delivering, you're either picking up. So they're dispensable people that they just use because they don't respect them.
John George ends up travelling out to Spain, minor criminal who has substance abuse problems.
Yeah, target. Simple. That's him. Because who's going to complain when he's not here? Who's going to complain when he gets a slap? Like, what's he going to do? Because in their head, he's only a junkie. He's only this head. He's only that head. That's how the criminals think about stuff. Just...
So that's interesting, isn't it? Because I think like the people that are top of the, you know, on the top of these drugs gangs and things, they probably aren't addicts. They use the addicts, don't they? They use the addicts to do their dirty work for them, really, don't they? And like he says, and he'll know more than anyone, they're dispensable because after, John George, if something happens to him, they'll just get another one. There'll be another person who'll be willing to go out and do something. I don't think that John George was killed by drug gangs. I think this was some sort of argument that erupted when they were all drunk and high or whatever. I don't think it was like that thing, but, his life wasn't valued by anyone. Well, they didn't bargain with his family being so sort of vociferous and that, the family have sort of, obviously, maybe they didn't realise that John did have people who cared about him. But, we've seen with the other young lad, Dan, you just think, God, how many young people do, they're just dispensable, aren't they, to them? They just want them to, do their dirty work for them. He's just explained what they have them doing and that. And if one gets shot along the way or something happens or goes to prison, they just get another one. There'll be another 10 people waiting to do that for the easy money or just for the drugs that they're getting in exchange. That's how they do it. It's horrible. But I think the people right at the top of these sort of drug gangs probably, they're away from all that, aren't they? They keep apart from all that and they have these minions, doing their dirty work for them.
Vicious.
At first, John's time in Alicante seemed to be going well, but when days passed with no contact, Billy became concerned.
My John would have rung. He would have done something, even if they're in a party. Somebody has a phone.
So he'd never be out of contact?
Never. Our John rung me 5-6 times. We called him. I actually had him under my phone, Malter. Because all he done was melt your head.
When Billy tried to get in touch with John through his friends, he was told that John had moved on to Benidorm.
Rung Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith says John was going up to a guy he knew from Liverpool called Pudgy. He's up to stay with him. He says, no, I'm going to do. I'll take a wee drive up into Benidorm. We're not far from it. I know a couple of doormen. Was there any fights or thing? So, see, do you speak Spanish? Could you ring the hospitals or anything like that? He says, I'll do this and I'll do that.
So Johnny's going to sort it all?
Johnny's going to sort this out.
Billy was told not to worry.
Yeah. So Johnny Smith is saying to him, oh, no, I'll ring the hospitals. We listened to that phone call when he rang the 911, the 112 operator to try and report him as a missing person. But he filmed himself ringing, which is strange in itself, isn't it? But anyway, it's like staged. But he's saying to Billy, oh, yeah, I'll do that. I'll ring the hospitals. He didn't speak Spanish, so I don't know why he thought he could do it. It's all a big lie anyway.
Johnny had organised a flight home for John the following day. He even sent the ticket info so John's family could be there to pick him up.
Yeah.
They sent me these. Ryanair, raised into Dublin. So, John didn't get off the flight.
So we're finding out now that we knew that it was thought that somebody had booked those flights. Wasn't John who'd booked those flights to go back. So it's Johnny. Johnny's booked the flights for him to go back, sent the flight details to Billy. That's suspicious, isn't it, in itself? So in the meantime, he's not only saying, he's buying time, isn't he, I suppose? Doing that, buying time. Oh yeah, he'll be home in a couple of days. Look, here's his flight booked. It's all sus, isn't it?
Strange.
After days without contact, John's father travelled to Spain to formally report John as a missing person just before Christmas.
I started looking for John on the 23rd. of December.
Day 2 of the search for John George.
Where do you start? You know, every morning we woke up. Where do we go?
Look at the size of what 6 people have to try and go through here. This is a needle in a haystack. I need locals to come and help us find our son. We're just in him home.
Oh,
Just us. No Spanish police. I have his bed sheets in a bag for the sniffer dogs. We're doing everything we can as a family.
so remember the search team went out from Northern Ireland with the tracker dogs and that. But you know, all this really, when you think about it, all that effort that they put in all those days, they were in the completely wrong place. They were nowhere near where John had been dumped. They'd been totally led on a wild goose chase. I think that's almost as cruel as the murder itself, to be honest. You know, to send people off looking for their dead relative, their dead loved one, but deliberately sending them somewhere, you know, that they know that they're not going to find him. Just laughing about it. I mean, what is that entertainment? Just watching them searching somewhere that they haven't got cat and else chance of finding John, because he's nowhere near that spot, nowhere near it.
Please, please, please. Let's find John.
Christmas morning was the worst day of my life. Everybody back home, opening presents, laughing and joking. Me, my wife, 2 daughters, or 2 partners, and my son, searching 22,000 acres of fields, climbing through hedges on Christmas Day, where we should be home with our family and grandkids. We hadn't a clue where we were going.
Please, just give me him. Just give me my son. That's all I want. Just my son.
The family documented the search online. The response was overwhelming.
We have a man from Belfast who is missing from the southeastern part of Spain.
I'm here now with the family of John George. That's his sister Courtney there in the pink pants. There's a house across the road where the young man lived.
Whether it was the mystery attached to John's disappearance, or its similarity to other recent cases, or just people understanding how painful it would be not to have a family member present at Christmas time, whatever it was, there was something in John's case that just really resonated with people. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everybody was asking the same thing. What happened to John?
But some misinformation was coming from closer to home. Some of those who told the family they wanted to help with the search seemingly didn't want John to be found.
I'm driving. We're just getting ready to go out on a search. And my phone rings, and the guy goes, I need to speak to you. He's going, this is where your son's body is.
The message came from one of the last people John had been seen with. Michael Malley, the ex-Foreign Legion soldier.
We went up there about.
So Michael Malley, now he was in the Foreign Legion, in the French Foreign Legion. I just never even thought that still existed. Anyway, he's from Czechoslovakia. He's Czechoslovakian. And he's the one who has been cooperating with the police. I mean, you know, I think he's the one that actually gave up John's body, said where it was finally. But of course, he's saying it wasn't him. It wasn't him, but he's admitted to being an accomplice. So he was arrested and is currently out on bail, and he's got conditions that, you know, and sooner or later his court case will come up. So it's going to work really where this case is going, isn't it? He says that Johnny Smith did it, and Johnny Smith will probably say that he did it. But the problem for Johnny Smith that he's got is he went on the run. You know, if he's innocent, why doesn't he hand himself in? So I feel like Michael Malley's, at least he's being a bit more smart about it. You know, I'm not saying I agree with him getting away with it. Of course I don't. But what I'm saying is he's made a decision to go to the Guardia, and, he's got bail. He's walking around free. He's not, he's got to go and fulfill his conditions of bail, of course. But he's free, whereas Johnny Smith is free, but he's not really free, is he? Because he's on the run. All these warrants out for his arrest. So that's not really freedom, is it? Because, he's probably constantly waiting for the hand on his shoulder. Whereas I think Michael Malley is at least conditionally free at the moment until his court case comes up. And then we'll just see, how he ends up, what sentence he'll get for being an accomplice. But, if Johnny Smith really needs to think on, because if he stays on the run, that makes Michael Malley more likely, in the judge's eyes, the judge will be, well, this other guy's gone on the run. This guy's told us where the body is and has admitted to his part in the sense he was an accomplice. And he's going to get a lighter sentence. And when Johnny Smith finally gets caught, he's the one who's going to get, full blast, really. So, hi, Heather. So, I honestly think Johnny Smith, if you're not going to do it for John George's family, he should do it for himself, hand himself in, because the longer he's on the run, he just looks even more and more suspicious, doesn't he?
Dog team. We search fields upon fields all day, lies. I smelled the rat then.
Some of those involved in the search for John, people who were telling the family how much they wanted to help, they were laying false trails.
You've been told he was stopped by the police.
Lies.
Went to meet someone from Liverpool.
Lies.
Been told that he's been spotted partying on the beach.
Lies.
Then somebody says, look over here, he's probably there.
Lies.
Another day of a search for John George.
Through all the lies, one truth remained constant. John was still missing, and the family were still searching.
This is one of the sites where the family came to look for answers about what had happened to John George. And when you're here, you get a sense of just how hopeless a task that must have felt at times. To come here day after day, desperate for answers about your loved one, and to leave with nothing. It must have just felt utterly hopeless.
But the clues to John's disappearance weren't in this expanse of waste ground. They come back to what happened here, in the nearby house where John was staying before.
Yeah, when you think about all that searching that they did, they probably covered miles, searching for months, really. And he wasn't even in that area. Horrible, isn't it?
For his disappearance. This house where John came to stay with a friend wasn't what it appeared. A glamorous villa in a quiet neighbourhood surrounded by retiree expats. Neighbours tell us the house had been reported to the police. Wild parties, open drug use and suspicious comings and goings. We can't know what happened to John until we know more about what happened inside. We understand that when Johnny Smith was here, this house was full of drugs. A lot of cannabis and tablets, drugs like Xanax. Even with home security precautions like CCTV cameras all around the house, we believe that Smith was agitated, taking a lot of those pills himself. Around this time, Billy's attempts to contact Johnny Smith by phone were suddenly met with silence. John George was no stranger to drug use and had been arrested in the past with large quantities. In the subsequent case, lawyers described John as a petty criminal, a courier for larger players to sustain his own addiction. On the Costa Blanca, some of those he was there with were operating on a different level. Spotlight has obtained and verified 2 videos recorded inside this house in the weeks before John went missing.
Never heard of my life, right? But they're coming from fucking Slovakia.
These videos appear to show John George.
Now, when you can hear John speaking there, let's just listen to that again. He's all slurring his words like he is on that other video, like his last video. You know, you can tell he's like been taking stuff and he's just like not quite with it. I hope he, you know, when it all happened, I hope he didn't realise what was happening to him, because it's pretty horrible what they did to him.
Operating on a different level. Spotlight has obtained and verified 2 videos recorded inside this house in the weeks before John went missing.
Never heard of my life, right? But they're coming from fucking Slovakia.
These videos appear to show John George looking at photos of weapons on the phone of Michael Malley, an ex-Foreign Legion soldier. In the second video from this house, filmed minutes after the first, John appears to have been handed a gun.
Needs you buy. Ankle-laser. No.
Do you imagine? There they are, all drugged up, brandishing a gun around, and I just think of all those people that lived round about there, if they would have known that there were all those guns in that house. And you know, it's not easy to get hold of a gun in Spain, you know, so well, obviously easy for them because they're in a different world than the world I'm in, but you know, looking at those guns and that, you know, thinking of that Michael Malley who was in the French Foreign Legion, you know, it's just chilling, isn't it? And I bet all those poor people that live in that area, I bet they can't believe it now, that they were living amongst all that, you know, like, you know, they imagine that suddenly you find out that your neighbour, not only there's loads of drugs in the house and everything, but also they've got guns. And, you know, they're pretty sort of, what's the word, you know, nifty looking guns, you know, new looking guns, you know, they're not guns that have been passed down or whatever, brand new guns. Horrible. Yeah, he does look a bit like Super Mario, doesn't he? Bless him. Oh dear. Yeah, they were breeding dogs as well in the middle of all of it, Kelly. They were breeding dogs, yeah. I hope all the dogs are okay.
Absolutely no. Don't even realise what they're getting. That's nicked. That is a killing machine. Yeah, the bullets travel over 700 miles an hour. It's going through anything. Do you know what I mean? So, and all it takes is a little pat. That's it. And that's what people don't realise, that what they're egotistically drawn towards is a life of misery and death if you're playing with guns, taking drugs and counting money. But what's going to happen, something...
Happy tears, sad tears. Happy tears, we found him. Sad tears, we want to bring them home.
Oh. Oh.
But it says I was going to get him. I'd still be there today.
Oh.
I got him.
This remote farm is the place where John's body was found. The aftermath of the murder still visible on this remote Spanish road.
You can already see.
There is still blood on the road.
Sources within Spanish law enforcement have told us they believe John was still alive when he was brought here on the 14th of December. This remote farm was the scene of his brutal killing.
John was murdered. To be left at the side of a road like a dog. They've beat him, they've stabbed him, and they've shot him. Nobody deserves that.
The scumbags, they don't realise the impact it has on the families. You wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. Really. It's just, why?
Autopsy results confirm that he was stripped naked, beaten, and stabbed in the leg. Shot in the chest.
Yeah, that's, I'm going to play that again. It's, you know, to strip him naked, that's like a humiliation thing, isn't it? You know, it's like, you know, did they stab him in the leg to sort of, so that he couldn't fight back, and then they've stripped him naked, then they've shot him in the chest and the face. I'll just put that back bit so that you can, it just seems why it's like a humiliation thing, you know. Wonder what really happened, why they got so angry with him that they decided to do that.
They've beat him, they've stabbed him, and they've shot him. Nobody deserves that.
The scumbags, they don't realise.
I think it's not been made clear yet, Yvonne, exactly where he was killed. Well, you know, maybe the Guardia know. The Guardia said they thought it happened at the apartment. But it's not been made clear.
The impact it has on the families. You wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. Really. It's just, why?
Autopsy results confirm that he was stripped naked, beaten, and stabbed in the leg. Shot in the chest, shot in the face, his body hidden. The extremity of the violence and the extent of the decomposition meant John's identity had to be confirmed with DNA testing.
Man, that was
Yeah, Dixie and Misty both say more or less same thing there. Maybe, yeah, the stripping was to remove the DNA evidence. But so they've stripped his clothes, they've stabbed him in the leg, and they've shot him in the chest and in the face. I mean, what sort of a person is this? Oh my God. You know, it's just, what sort of a person can do that? How can you look at someone? If you're shooting someone in the face, you're looking at them as you do it, aren't you? In the chest, in the face, you're looking them probably in the eyes as you do it. You know, was John pleading for his life? You know, anyway, I can't go, you know, the thought of that, it's upsetting. Was he asking for his mum, pleading for his dad or whatever? You know, just how you could look at someone, you know, shoot them in the face like that. Absolute foul people, these.
was arrested and then released it as an accomplishment of the crime. So they came to the exact location of the body.
So someone has told the police where to find the body, but they've only done it after weeks and weeks of the family searching in the wrong place for John's body.
Exactly.
He must have known the whole time where the body was. So all of those weeks that the family are searching, where they don't know where John George is, where they're asking for help, he knew.
Exactly. Knew, but say nothing to the family.
So yeah, so now so what were they saying here is it was Michael Malley that led the police to the body. So he knew where John was all the time that he was saying to Billy George and the family that he didn't know, or that they were in a completely different area. So he's a real nice guy, isn't he?
It's still unclear what sparked this brutal attack. Police believe the attack began as a personal dispute, an argument. How that could have spiraled into such shocking violence is known only to those who killed him. But our investigation on the ground has thrown up a new lead. We speak to the man who owns this farm. He doesn't want to appear on camera, still shaken at the thought of the violence done a short distance from his family home.
But the farmer also told us something which may be more significant for the investigation than anything else. He pointed out this hill and reservoir up here ahead of us, and on that reservoir is CCTV. It's pointing directly at us now, here on the road, and here at the crime scene. It may be that the Guardia Civil have footage not just of the killers, but of the murder itself. Unfortunately, there's a reason why things might not be that simple.
Entendemos.
Now, yeah, so the Guardia don't tell him that they've got, but it's possible that they have got CCTV. So that won't come out until the trial anyway. So although they've managed to get this general or whatever, colonel of the Guardia Civil to talk to them, he's not giving any details of the case. They've said that they won't give any details of the case because it's being investigated. At least they got an interview with him.
El gran empeño y por supuesto, la desesperación que tenían esos días en saber qué había pasado.
The man who led them to John's body has now been arrested and appeared in court in connection with the murder. 32-year-old Michael Malley is a Czech national and former soldier in the French Foreign Legion.
Your loyalty and your courage is your proof.
The same man who had sent John's family searching in the wrong place. Before John's body had been found, Billy had been sitting face to face with someone police suspect was involved in his son's killing.
Got his number. And I says, Michael, I need to see you. He's sitting there, he's a big lad. Like, he's an ex-foreign legioner. He admits John was in the flat. He admits being with John. He admits partying, drinking, taking drugs. You were in that flat. That's you in the video with John. Yeah, that's me. He's admitting all these things.
Our investigation suggests that it was on Michael's phone that John had been looking at pictures of weapons. And then the gun appears.
And I'm looking him straight in the eyes, and he can't look me straight in the face. He says, you ring me anytime.
Our investigation suggests he was still at this house in Orway.
You ring me anytime and I'll tell you another false place for you to go and look for your dead son. Yeah, I agree, Dixie. I think the police probably have got all sorts, haven't they? But yeah, they won't tell us that.
Costa. And even then, in possession of at least one illegal firearm. Guardia Civil missed a chance to take Johnny into custody. His current whereabouts are unknown. Sources in Spanish law enforcement have told Spotlight that he was tracked flying as far as Abu Dhabi and may have travelled on to Thailand. For the George family, Johnny's escape and the lack of progress in John's case have raised doubts about the work done by Guardia Civil.
Do you think that you'll ever get justice for John from the Spanish authorities?
No.
It's been more than 2 months since John was murdered. Michael Malley isn't in custody.
That's a joke. Michael Malley is out. Don't know what he's out on. Don't even know what he's charged with. But I think he done the deal to give John's body up.
Johnny Smith, the Guardia Civil say they don't know where he is.
Johnny Smith is not in Thailand. He's in Europe somewhere. If Johnny...
Yeah, Billy seems, adamant that Johnny Smith is in Europe somewhere, or possibly still in Spain. But what they said, notice what they said there. They said sources close to the Guardia Civil. So what does that actually mean? That could be a load of old bollocks, really, couldn't it? So, said that he travelled as far as Abu Dhabi and he might have gone to Thailand. Who do they mean by sources close to the Guardia Civil? Oh, God, I'd like to go and talk again They won't talk to you though. They were, it's pointless trying to get things out of the Guardia Civil. And it's a shame that Billy seems convinced he won't get justice, that the Spanish police won't get him justice, but we'll see what happens. I wouldn't give up yet. I think they will catch him. I'm just not, who knows where he is? And then you've got, I think it was his mum, wasn't it, that said his solicitor had told him not to say where he was. What solicitor would say to someone, don't tell the police where you are? I mean, he's got to come forward. It's in his own interest to come forward rather than stay on the run forever. And then, if he didn't do it and Michael Malley did it, then, he's got nothing to hide, has he? He should come forward. Anyway, I'm trying to sort of thinking in a way that, normal people would think, not, these sort of just someone who's strung out on drugs, etc.
Smith is innocent. Go to the police and hand yourself in. If you're innocent, go to the police. Why do you go on the run? Why go on the run if you're innocent?
We attempted to contact Johnny Smith about these allegations through a social media account. We received no response. Guardia Civil said the investigation remains open and it cannot comment further on specific points. But Colonel Antonio Darder is confident they will soon have their man.
Quiero mandar un mensaje que estén convencidos que desde el primer día el trabajo que se hizo fue intenso y bueno, creo que al final tuvo su reflejo. Conseguimos localizar el cuerpo del fallecido y bueno, y ya tenemos bastante claro el sospechoso.
So what he's just said there is, right from day one, we treated it seriously, or, we looked at it intensely, and we've had some success because we have managed to localize his body. So I presume they arrested Michael Malley, and then Michael Malley, under pressure, has decided to say where the body is and put himself forward as an accomplice rather than the actual murderer. And it may be that he's the actual murderer, but the thing is, the other guy going on the run makes it look more like he's the actual murderer, doesn't it? So this is what I mean about him. He's not doing himself any favours because he's leaving Michael Malley to look like the one who is, the accomplice rather than the murderer. And so he's going to get a lighter sentence. And anyway, so that's what this Guardia guy is saying, that they have had success in the case because they did manage to find his body. And they've got these arrest warrants out for one suspect, and the other suspect is on bail.
Y esperemos que pronto pueda ser detenido. Ya están emitidas las órdenes internacionales de detención y donde sea que se haya escondido, pues activaremos todos los mecanismos que necesitemos de cooperación internacional, Interpol, el que.
So he's saying, we've put all the mechanisms in place that we can. He's got his arrest warrants out, Interpol's been informed, and it's just a matter of time, according to him. I hope so.
Sea necesario y espero que pronto pueda ser detenido.
I could never repay the people of Northern Ireland and further afield the support we got.
We saw people in England, people in America, people
Everywhere.
all over the world.
I have cards in the house from Canada. Everywhere. But the day we came home from the airport, there was people there who I didn't even know from the other side of the community. And it was great. I could never, ever repay them. Never in my life. I don't really do social media. But it was fantastic. See, without them people, without the power of social media, we'd have never got John.
As well as receiving support, Billy himself has been vocal online about his theories on who is responsible for his son's murder and the subsequent cover-up.
I'm being brought to court for harassment.
Billy has confronted the relatives of those he believes were involved, both online and in person. One of these incidents ended in his arrest and in his...
Yeah, we looked at this the other day, didn't we? Billy was arrested for harassing Dawn Smith, Johnny's mum, which probably he shouldn't have done. But you know what? I just think, you know, you'd have to be pretty, you know, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. But you can see that Billy is a person who wears his heart on his sleeve. It'd be difficult not to if you knew the ins and outs of everything. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, Johnny has made himself look guilty. He's the one who's on the run, not Michael Malley. So it's going to come down to who the judge believes. And at the moment, Michael Malley is charged with being an accomplice, not with murder. So, and when it comes to the court case, eventually when Johnny's caught, you know, it'll probably come down to a he said, she said type scenario, won't it? It'd be like Michael saying it was Johnny and Johnny saying it was Michael. But who's the court going to believe? They're going to believe the person who stayed there. They're not going to believe the person who went on the run. So...
admission that he had committed an offence.
Well, let's just take that then head on. Do you think, looking back, that you did anything that you regret doing?
No, I don't, not one bit. Remorse they have. They get to see their kids.
I asked Billy what he would like to see happen in the investigation into his son's murder.
Justice. Justice for my son. I want justice because this young people being lured out there thinking they're going to have a good life. It's all, I have it all. You know, what for? Where are they now? They're all on the run. They have to come out. They have to come out. A rat always comes out of its hole.
A rat always comes out of his hole. So that's what Billy's got to say about it. And yeah, I think eventually will be found, like we've been saying in the chat. You know, you can never underestimate the Guardia and the Policia Nacional, etc., and just assume because things are quiet that they're not doing anything. They are, they just don't talk about it. So, you know, I do honestly feel like it, I'm not sure exactly why they haven't found him yet. You'd think they would have, but I do think it's just a matter of time. I do think it is just a matter of time. So the thing is that, you know, I know what you're saying, Laurie, that you shouldn't harass a woman, but it seems like Dawn, she's been sending, you know, who's keeping Johnny going with money and things like that? Where's the money trail? You know, there's sort more to it, you know. I don't know if you saw the birthday cake that she gave him that had all guns on it, you know, things like that. I'm you know, I personally, you know, if I was Dawn, I would like to say to Dawn, get your son to give himself up. You know, do everything you can to get him to get in his own interest. If you don't care about the family, do it in his own interest. There's been a lot that they've been trying to. Anyway, I don't want to get into the thing is we just deal with the facts. And the facts are that Johnny Smith is on the run. And why is he on the run if he's not guilty? That's all we can look at, you know. And that's all the courts will look at when it finally comes to court. Laurie, which dad? A video of the dad taking drugs. Which dad? You mean Billy? No. There's been a big attempt to blacken the family's name. There has been a big attempt to do that, but you know that's what's happening. It's like a war of social media, fake accounts. I wonder what's happened to Dan Meekin. I hope he's okay because you know that video that he did that he put on TikTok, and that was very sad. I thought because you know where he was just high as a kite and sniffing cocaine and all those tablets he had. I hope it's somebody is looking after him, because, he's a bit of a victim really as well, isn't he? Because he's like, I don't know what he knows or what he doesn't know, but he's just been used as a runner, or he's one of those people that guy was saying gets used. What did you call them, David? Rockets. So I hope he's okay, Dan Meakin. It's all gone very quiet. I don't know whether he's gone back to court or not. Just don't know. I've never seen a video of the dad taking drugs. I don't know anything about a video of the dad taking drugs, to be honest, but there have been attempts to blacken all the family's name. But I think it's interesting that the BBC, whatever you think about the BBC or don't think about the BBC, I think it'd be unusual for them to make a documentary like this without checking some things out, don't you think? Having said that, they did that other documentary, didn't they, about Hamas, about the war in Gaza, and it turned out that the young lad that was the sort of star of the video wasn't he the son of a Hamas leader or something? So yeah, maybe we should be a bit suspicious of the BBC. I don't know, but yeah. I don't know about that, Laurie, because I think she would have been in more danger if, imagine the mum. Oh my God, if that was, honestly, I've got to say, if that was me and that was my son that was been shot dead in the face and the chest, stabbed, stripped, left in a field, that woman, I couldn't trust myself around her, I couldn't trust myself around her. That's how I would feel. So probably better it was the dad, because he didn't hit her or anything. He didn't attack her. She accused him of harassment. That's what he got arrested for. Didn't, physically hurt her. But do you think the mum would have? I know I would have. What would you have done if it was one of your children? I mean, God, I couldn't trust myself around her. You would have had to keep me away from her, because you're facing the woman that you think is helping her son, who's just murdered your son. I think that would be more dangerous, personally, to be honest. Yeah, it is BBC Northern Ireland, Yvonne. It is BBC Northern Ireland, I think. Well, the reporter was Irish, wasn't he? So, yeah. So, I don't know. It's for the BBC to take it up and actually name a suspect. They must think that it's true. So, anyway, I think we'll get news. I think we'll get news soon. I think we've got to think positive for this family. They're never going to be the same again. I spoke to someone today who was talking to about something completely different, nothing to do with this, about how they were saying that when you lose someone like this, in any sort of, someone gone too soon, especially a child, be it a young child, an adult child, your children are not supposed to die before you, are they? It changes you forever as a person. This family is changed forever, but one little bit of comfort they'll get is when someone has been held accountable for murdering John. Then they will feel a little bit better. Well, the thing is, Laurie, I would approach them, but I'll tell you what, they wouldn't be safe. They wouldn't be safe. I couldn't trust myself around somebody who I thought was helping someone who had murdered my son. Much better that Billy went, in my opinion, because he didn't touch her. He didn't touch her. He's just trying to find out what happened to his son. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally. I don't think, and I can see his wife probably his wife is destroyed. You know, her and John were especially close. And I think it's a good job she didn't go. That's my opinion anyway. And I would have gone. I would have wanted to go, but I wouldn't be able. I'd be more likely to attack her. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Dan was the one that went to court drunk and high, but said he wasn't. But of course he was. Anyway. Okay, so I thought we'd go through that together. I'm hoping for some news for this family soon. Let's hope so. And I'm going to put out this video just as a video on the channel, you know, without the commentary, just the video itself as well, for people who prefer to watch it just without any waffle from me. Some people like my waffle, other people don't like my waffle. Try and keep everyone happy. So now, oh, that's right, Yvonne. The mum had a stroke. Yeah, Billy's had 2 heart attacks. So it needs to be, I think he's had 2 heart attacks. Anyway, he's definitely had 1. So yeah, they're both in ill health. So okay, well, I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow. So don't forget, on Friday, I'm doing a special sort of live chat. I've got a guest. Really looking forward to that. Tomorrow night in the members live, I'll be revealing who my guest is. And yeah, but any news, obviously. Oh, thank you, Heather. Any news, obviously, that I have on any of the cases. And of course, there's so many other things I want to talk about. So I'm hoping to do a live in the morning at some point and talk about some other things that have been going on. There's always something going on. There's always something to talk about. And overnight, probably more will have happened. No, it's only just come out, this documentary, Laurie, and it's only available on, you know, BBC One iPlayer or whatever. But somebody's obviously copied it off there, and I've copied it off them because, you know, I don't feel like that's copyright against them because it's not their documentary anyway. But and then I've put, you know, altered it a little bit. So, and if anybody wants to copy it off me, they can have it with pleasure. You know, it's not my documentary, it's BBC documentary. But I know, and the reason why I'm doing that as well is because I do know the family want it shared far and wide. They want it talked about. They want this person to be found, arrested and brought to justice. So I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Please remember to leave your DNA on the like button and consider subscribing. It's completely free. I'll see you soon. Bye.